Welcome to the Quantum Revenue Expansion Podcast. My name is Ursula, and I'm a sales expert, strategic business coach, and USA Today bestselling author. I love sharing strategies that show you exactly how to turn your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. If you're looking to take a quantum leap in your revenue or sales, your team, your productivity, your success, and your life, then you are meant to be here. My goal in every episode is to help you take your belief that it's possible to 2x or 10x your revenue while working way less to knowing that it is happening right now. Welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. Super excited to be with everyone today, and I have a very special guest, and she's also in our CEO Table member community. Safa Roberts is here with us, and we're going to be talking about energy medicine and Feng Shui. Good. Well, I'm super excited to have you here, and I'll give you a formal intro in a moment. Okay. And for our listeners all over the world, you're in for a treat today because Safa brings a very interesting background and very interesting tools to what she does with her clients. So you're definitely going to want to take some notes. And I feel like just by hanging out with Safa, we all get uplifted in our lives. So it's going to be awesome. And she's a business owner. So she's combined those worlds, which I think is very interesting for a lot of you who are out there in maybe the alternative healing world or supporting people in different ways and coaching and Feng Shui and all the things. So get ready for the show. Before we get there, though, we have one last 2X Intensive coming up. One last one. It's on, as we're recording this, July 17th and 18th. It's coming up in a couple weeks. It's our last one because my company is evolving. Lots of things are happening behind the scenes. You'll hear more about it because you guys know I share all the things on the show. Just some things are so new yet, and there's some legal pieces that have to happen in the background for other pieces to come together, and just based on my own journey over the last couple of years. So lots will be revealed over the upcoming weeks and months. So super excited about that. If you haven't taken the 2X Intensive yet and you want to come out and really hang out with us and talk about how to double your revenue, like what would that look like? How would you increase your prices? Maybe it's time to retire some packages or things that you don't like offering. Maybe it's time to up-level who that ideal client is. Like that's what we're going to dig into. And Rebecca does a really cool session on how to shave 10 or more hours off your work week. And a lot of times we think that means, I'm going to have to hire a lot of people or a whole team. It doesn't. Like a lot of our clients just have one or like someone working super part-time, growing multi-6 and 7-figure businesses. It's not a lot of people. So we also dig into that. You can go to ursulainc.co/apply, send us some information, and we'll send you information about our extra special last call 2X Intensive course that's coming up. All right. With that, let me tell you about the amazing Safa. I'm just excited to hang out with her. And we actually wore the same outfit today. We didn't plan it. Safa was out of the show. I'm not sure why. I think it's like spirit, just aligns us in our energies and our thinking. She is a visionary entrepreneur and subtle energy educator who has spent over 2 decades mastering the arts of energy healing and Feng Shui, studying with masters across Asia and the indigenous Shipibo Conibo, hopefully I got that correct, tribe in Peru. Just want to honor them. She offers a unique blend of services that combine shamanic practices, modern technologies, which I've been able to enjoy, and energy medicine to empower individuals and enhance their environments. Her diverse clientele, ranging from individuals seeking personal growth to those looking to enrich their living spaces, consistently report remarkable improvements in their physical health and overall life quality. And since I've known you, I feel like you've lived all over the world in a very short amount of time as your life has shifted and expanded. So let's just start with a little bit of your story. Like you have a really cool journey. You've helped a lot of people. Like what brought you into this world of subtle energies, subtle energy healing, shamanic practices?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think for a lot of people, we get sold a life path when we're younger. It's like go to university, get the education, get the job. And all through my 20s, I really found that it wasn't enough. I was successful. I was doing really well, but there was a piece of me that I feel that wasn't getting addressed or wasn't getting acknowledged. It wasn't getting a chance to express itself. And as that went on, I started to get more and more depressed, more and more anxious, which I think is a common story for a lot of people. And I went through everything with allopathic medicine, and there was nothing that could help me. And I just felt like I was going down an even deeper rabbit hole. And it wasn't until I actually pulled a book from the library on energy medicine, and I thought, wow, imagine being able to just heal with your hands, to be able to have that power in your hands where you're not dependent on an external source or a doctor or something like this. You know, of course, we still need our doctors, always. But if you have that ability, how many people could you help? You know, your family, your friends, this sort of thing. And I started studying, and I met my teacher in Vancouver, and everything changed after that. It was like a light turned on, and I no longer needed to see the other doctors anymore. I wasn't depressed anymore. I felt like I'd found my life path. And within 6 months of meeting my teacher, I quit my corporate job and jumped into everything full time.
So amazing. I think all of us corporate escapees can really relate to what you shared. I mean, I know for me, you know, I was there in the corporate world from not a long time, 22 to 27 years old, and very formative, like 20s are very formative years. And then my body was like, no, like just telling me something, like get out, get out. And I had an opportunity to stay, I remember, in the tech world to buy part of that company that I had been part of. And it just was such a strong no. And Sev, I think that's a common story where we leave and then we dive into this world of personal development, which I think we don't even realize, at least I didn't realize in the beginning, that this was the healing journey. Right?
Yeah.
This was this, you know, I stepped into that world, and then I also, like you, found energy medicine and healing in ways that I could never have dreamed of. And also today would not be where I'm at. So,
Yeah.
you know, for you, I mean, it's energy medicine and Feng Shui. You've worked with, I know, I mean, we're not going to name names, but I know you've worked with some of the top people in the world in Feng Shui and energy healing. So what happened after that? So after those 6 months, like you're in this space, like when did you decide, like, I'm going to have my own business? I'm going to be able to make a living at this full time. I'm going to start living all over the world. Like, what was kind of the next piece? Because I think that piece, we don't talk about that enough. Like going from full-time corporate, somebody's paying my paycheck, to it's just me. Like, what was that?
Yeah, and losing all the privileges and losing all the status, the company car, the the 6 figures, like all the things you're used to that you build your self-worth upon, right? And then all that's gone. You know, and 20 years ago when I started everything, the fact that I quit my corporate job to wave crystals around, like everyone thought I was crazy, right? Like, you're nuts. But I knew something deep inside was the truth, you know? And back then I was really actually fortunate, and I do recommend this for some people if it's still an option. I actually got a government grant because I was able to articulate myself well, because I had business skills that I could translate upon. I basically entered a program for a grant. I wrote a business proposal. Like, I did all the things that I had the skills for, and it allowed me to basically work for myself for a year and be supported by the government as well. So I got really fortunate in that, and having ways to find support to make the transition is really key. Yeah.
Were you in Canada at the time? I think you said.
I was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the thing, it was finding someone who was cool enough to really see my vision back then. But because I could, speak the lingo, say all the things, do the business plan, like, if you've got those skills, there are ways out there for you to access those programs.
And was that a government program, did you say?
It was. Okay. Yeah. And they assisted me in making the business plan and everything. And then I basically was subsidized for an entire year. And that gave me the time to be able to transition, get my skills in order, this sort of thing. And it really helped a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, I don't know. We have a lot of great programs in the US. I don't know how many subsidized. I'm sure people are listening wondering. I would say check in your own country. We have guests all over the world that are listening. I would, just call your local government and just see if you're thinking about making that transition, because obviously that's easier. And Safa, you're also, like, I would say, kind of a magical manifester. Would we say that? And I think you utilize energy and all the things to manifest. So So then you launched your company, you had some support, which you created that, right? You created that support to come in.
Sure, I worked for it. Yeah.
Called it in. And then what? Like, what kind of clients, like, where did you start with your career with healing?
I started with the energy medicine. And when you start with that, it takes a long time to get good at it, right? There's a lot of self-doubt because it's the unseen world. So it's like, am I doing it right? Am I doing this correctly? And you have to get over a lot of that fear. So what I found for me is that I needed more time to develop the skills. I mean, the shamanic world, it's very deep and very broad and takes a lot of years of experience to really, get good at it and be able to see. And then over time, basically, I ended up getting into yoga as well to learn about the subtle body. So not necessarily the posture bit of yoga, but traveling to India and learning about the subtle body in deep ways. So learning about the art of Kundalini in a way of with the ancient, traditions, not just the modern Western way of looking at it,
Yeah.
like going to an ashram where they didn't have any Westerners and watching people who could awaken the Kundalini of somebody in an entire room. Um, that kind of stuff really blew my mind open, because I thought, here's a man who can look at people in a room, and then for 2 hours, their body is doing postures and sounds and everything, that just from unlocking their prana. So when I started to see the ancient way that prana is approached and the power of it, that's when I really started to go, okay, there's something here. Something that I want to devote my entire life to. And then everything just took off from there. I continued to study yoga, but then I also started to know that the plant medicine was also a huge path for me as well. So after teaching yoga for a lot of years, I went to India and began an apprenticeship in the Amazon with the Shipibo Konibo for several years with my husband, to really learn subtle energy in a whole different realm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's unpack this. So let's go back for a second. For those
Yeah.
who don't know or haven't heard or maybe don't understand, I mean, and I don't know that I fully understand how to
Yeah.
explain prana or Kundalini awakening. So what does that feel like? What did you witness as that was happening for people?
Yeah. I mean, it was so new for me. I had no idea what I was getting into. They just said, okay, we're going to purify our bodies for a month. And I said, oh, great. They say you're lucky if the guru unlocks your Kundalini. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I just went
Yeah.
in faith. Like, I literally just said, this feels like I'm supposed to do this. And basically what happened is we were all sitting in a room, and he just said, start your yogic breathing, and everyone starts to do that. And the next thing I know, my arms are raising up in the air by themselves, and my head starts spinning side to side on its own. And then for the next 2 hours, I basically was doing yoga postures that I could never do in normal consciousness, that were super difficult. Um, it sounds really crazy, but the whole idea, what they say in their school, is that basically we're bodies of energy, and a lot of us have blockages in different places in the body. And now this vital life force that goes through the body, that it's the same that they use in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. We have these highways of energy that go through, but they get blocked up. So it's like a boulder in the highway. And for a lot of these traditions, whether it be plant medicine, whether it be yoga, breath work, all the things we hear of, we're trying to push a lot of energy through the pipes. And so when we do that, if it hits a blockage, what'll happen is the body will start to move, because it has a consciousness and an awareness. So if I have a blockage in my neck, which a lot of us do from stress, we get holding on too tightly, the prana is trying to move through my neck, and it'll actually move my head side to side on its own, because it naturally is trying to remove the blockages. So according to this school, they said it's very difficult for a lot of people to sit and meditate, and sit still, because there's so many energetic blockages in the body, that the way they look at it is you have to actually move the body and get the energy flowing before you can finally find stillness. And so this was a
Mm.
huge revelation to me, just to see that this is even possible, and people are doing this. This person has a huge following in India, a huge ashram, but it's not something that we're really familiar with in the West, right? It's like we're
Yeah.
just physical, and we got to go to work. And what is energy? I don't get it. How does it affect you? But if you think about it, if we're not getting fed on every level of our body, with the blockages are going on there, my brain isn't getting energy. I'm not thinking clearly. If I'm not getting energy to my throat, I'm not able to communicate what it is I need. Right. So
Yeah.
all these things are vital for us to be successful in life, as you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a yoga practice, and I'm just imagining like what that would feel like for my arms to just raise up, and I can feel, that how the energy might be
Awe,
released.
pure
Like,
awe.
just feel
That's
that.
all it was awe. I'm just like, this is something I can't even imagine. Like that prana has the power to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Beautiful.
it felt incredible. I was amazed. I was scared a little bit at the time. Even there was a doctor that was there, and he said, oh, we've been hypnotized, and this is not good. And
Mm.
he went back for the second session in the afternoon, and I don't know what he experienced, but at the end, he went up to the guru at the end, and he had tears pouring down his face, and he said, I'm sorry. I understand now.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So massive, massive. So you've gone to places. You've been there,
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
experienced it. You're not just like, I'm going to read about this in a book and try it. No, you're like, I'm going deep. I want to learn. I want to understand.
Yeah.
And so what about I have so many questions. I don't want to skip around, but how did this play into the feng shui part of what you're doing? So there's the
Mhm.
physical energy and you knowing how to move that for your clients. And then I'm guessing the feng shui is like, how do we create environments that also keep the energy moving? It's kind of like, right? Like keeping the energy healthy in the space that we're in as well as our bodies.
Yeah, it's
So
important. Yeah. The best way I can describe it is the way the grandmasters in Feng Shui look at it is we have 3 levels of luck. We've got our spiritual luck that we're born with. So say we could say all the things that we've done in our past lives that we're bringing to the table now, if you have that belief. The second would be what we're doing in our life. So are we good people? Are we supporting others? Basically like our earthly luck, right?
Yeah.
Or our spirit luck. The next one is our earthly luck, which is basically our environment. So they're saying we break these into thirds. So if we have a third that we're not addressing, which is basically how our space is, are we aligned to positive energy flows for me personally based on my birthday? Is my house set up in a way that I know the strong, powerful energy spots in a house versus the ones that are lower vibration? And am I aligning in that space or in my office? You know, an example, there's a power spot in each home where the best energy flows. And if I have a business, I could put my cash register there and always do my point of sale in the strongest energy vortex, right? So people are feeling their best and their strongest when they're about to pay me, right? So that's
Mhm.
it's not magic, it's just knowing where the energy flows best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
versus putting them in the spot that has a negative vortex and they're always like, oh, I can't afford it, and they walk out, right? It's
Right.
important. Yeah.
I would love to hear. I mean, obviously, you've worked with so many different clients in both the energy healing space and feng shui. Like a
Hmm.
couple of stories. Like, would you be willing to share a couple of stories of where you've helped clients and they had an interesting
Sure.
outcome because of it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can think of two. There was off the top of my head, there was one. He is a businessman and he lives in Lima. And basically he had a 2-year revenue goal that he wanted to achieve. And when I went over and did a consultation, his office was also in his home. So he had set everything up. And when I walked in, I realized that he wasn't sitting in what I said the power spot. He was basically facing an incorrect direction. He was sitting in a lower vibrational energy in his home, and he was having a lot of problems in the business. And so, and he'd had basically a designer come in and do like the right size furniture and everything. And I'm like, all this has to go. It's not supporting you, right? And so he had a lot of doubt, but he said, okay, I'm going to trust you. And basically we got him set up in a much smaller corner, had a much smaller
Mhm.
desk, but he was facing in all the right directions. And within 6 months, he reached his 2-year revenue goal.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And then I had another client. Basically his business was on the verge of failing. He couldn't get the clients that, or sorry, the workers that he needed. He just was trying to find the right people for his company, and it wasn't working. And what we have in Feng Shui is something called a hexagram alignment. So it's connected with the I Ching, but basically every degree of the compass has a corresponding I Ching hexagram that goes with it. And basically, it's sending a signal out to the universe. And in these 360, there are very auspicious ones that if we place them in our space, it actually aligns us with fame, with being the most successful in your business. With this one was specifically a Hail Mary for your business. So if your business
Mm.
is failing, you place this Hail Mary in your success direction and it opens and saves the business. And I got a message within 2 weeks that he had hired all the people that he needed, and they had so much business coming in that they actually had to hire even more people.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in two
Wow.
weeks.
I mean, both of those are tremendous. And
Yeah,
what about in your own life? Like, what are ways that it's helped you?
yeah. I think the biggest thing is facing the truth of what you really want in your life. Because
Ooh.
in Feng Shui, we have what's known as a success direction. So of the 8 compass directions for each individual, we have a direction that is the most connected with spirit. It's like a Wi-Fi signal to source. And if we place our dreams, our desires, our goals in that specific direction, it's basically sending out that signal saying, this is what I want. Um, and you have to be clear about what you want, right? So you have to sit down and actually say, like, what is it that I want? And sometimes it can be scary to face all the things that the doubts that you may have about yourself or not thinking big enough or these sorts of things, right? So for me, it was really sitting down and saying, okay, like, these are all the things that I want. And however they have to manifest, I don't have control over that, but this is
Mhm.
where I'm going. Um, and to be fair, it blew my life up.
Tell me
But
more.
in the best way, because there was a lot of things I was doing in my life that I feel like were limiting me and holding me back. And so when I put that out into the universe, it was like, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. This relationship isn't working. Um, this business partnership has to end. Like there was a lot of things that I actually had to face to be able to move forward. Right. So
Mm.
I think it brings a lot of clarity into your life, but it's not something that basically you put something in the corner and everything manifests joyfully. Like nothing in the universe is like that, right? We have to be willing to do the work, but I feel like it's a gateway to be able to fast track us forward. If that
Gotcha.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the law of polarity, right? There's both. It has to exist in both. So one of the things we talk about, I mean, obviously this is quantum revenue expansion. So we talk
Hmm.
about money here. And I think,
Hmm.
I mean, that's a big one for people, right? For entrepreneurs, for business
Yeah.
owners to wrap their head around being like that they deserve the money or that they can make a certain amount of money or how much am I wired for or my childhood or blah, 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 blah. Like there's so many things
Yeah.
that can come up for people. So what's your best advice for someone who's listening and they're feeling like, they're just not where they want to be financially. They want to get to that next level.
Hmm.
What's your advice for them? What should they do or what could they
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I think getting clarity is huge. And then finding out, this is an easy one, but what are my four best directions? You know, these are
Mm-hmm.
something very simple that you can learn. You can literally go on the internet and type in my birthday, my four best directions in Feng Shui, and literally start to utilize. It's like, I look at it, we can go up an escalator that's going up, or we can trudge along and try to go up one that's going down at the same time, right? We're going against the flow of energy. Everything is energy to me.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, I know that east is my best direction, so I'm going to sit facing east. I'm going to write down my goals facing east. I'm going to do a podcast facing east. I'm going to utilize this energy. I'm going to sleep with my crown pointing east, right? Like all the things that
Mm-hmm.
you need to do. um and again, the other thing, like I said, is clarity, is really sitting down and writing down the goals. And I know everybody says this, it's, but it's the truth. But that addition of putting it into that specific area to really send out to the universe, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And in Feng Shui, we've got a direction for success, one for health. So if you've got health goals like that you want to address, one for relationships. So if you're having love issues, or relationships in business that you need to heal, and also two, spiritual wisdom, which is a huge thing, right? Not necessarily just spiritual wisdom, but even wisdom in business. Do you have a mentor that you would love to have in your life? Do you have someone that you would love to learn from? Relationships, do you have clients that you really want to work with, right? So putting a picture on, and then this one really works, by the way, a picture of the company or the business that you really want to work with, and put a picture of them in the relationship direction. And I've done this many times, and I get the clients that are, similar to the photo I put up, or even the business logo of the company I want to work with. The relationships have gone super well when I do that.
Where do
So
you
all
put the
these little
photo?
tricks.
Like on your wall somewhere, like where it's
In
facing that
Well, for
direction or
example, if your relationship direction is north, you can either do it in the northern area of your home, but when it relates to business, I like to keep things in the office. So if you sit in the very center of your office, you would place it in the relationship direction. So the northern corner of your office, if you stand in the center of your office and moves your compass, right?
got it.
Yeah. So this is important. Even you could put a Facebook logo or an Instagram logo if you're trying to get social media to build, right? So it's all these things that you can utilize that are just like, they really work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I also know that, as coaches, healers, like sometimes we forget to use our own stuff. So was there ever a time where like you were stuck with something or you're like, and then you realize, oh my gosh, like I could just totally go do this thing. Any examples like that? And then it was like, oh, I had an immediate shift.
Yeah, exactly. Um, for me, it's like basically writing down, what is it that I need to do? So say I had something that I wanted to get and it was quite pricey in my mind, it was out of range of being able to pay for it in a certain amount of time. And I literally wrote down, this is paid for by October, and I
Wow.
put it in that
Yeah.
corner. And the funny part, that month there was a need for water to activate this corner. So this is another aspect of Feng Shui. There's certain numbers that basically, if we bring water or fire into that corner of our office, it actually activates more the prosperity energy. So when I came in, that particular goal had actually fallen into the fountain. So it was getting poured on with abundance. And then within literally 2 weeks, like I had the thing paid for, like way in advance.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it pays to just, either consult someone in Feng Shui or just learn a little bit about it, to kind of enhance these things.
So that's a
Yeah.
good point. A good point. Like how I guess when I've ever thought about feng shui, it feels like it's a science, right? There's a
Hmm.
science to it.
Definitely.
How perfect does it have to be? Like when you're talking about like I'm putting these pictures up or I'm writing these things down and it's got to face this direction. And in fact, just so everyone knows, I'm facing a certain direction right now as I do my podcast and I sleep a certain direction. Like I didn't know you at the time, or I'd have been like, come on over. And we were on
Yeah.
different continents, I think. But anyway, like what you're saying makes total, like I have, like, I'm literally, there's a certain direction. I'm not
You
sitting
know, you
physically
feel it.
down at my desk. I'm this way.
Well, even my teacher, one of them, she muscle tests, because sometimes we have a direction is good for a house, but it might not necessarily be good for you of your four. But sometimes that energy coming in is so strong that it overrides certain principles. So there's a bit of an intuitive art to it as well. So if you can do
Mm-hmm.
things like muscle test or energy scan or this sort of thing, it actually, and you're probably intuitively doing that, as when you face a certain direction, maybe you feel your auric field expand, maybe you feel your crown expand, right? Because as soon as I turn a different direction, the energy shifts and it can shrink,
Yes.
right?
Well, I was told to face this direction by a
Okay,
Feng Shui expert, like that. This is
excellent.
my direction, and so, and it does feel great, and also the lighting is good because it comes off the water, so like it's good on. And I have lots of other lighting, but I'm like, oh, this is good, and
Yeah.
I've gotten used to that. It's fascinating. Um, it is. It's. I love what you do. It's
Hmm.
so fascinating.
Hmm.
What do you wish people knew about Feng Shui or energy medicine, like as they're sitting out there right now going, I don't know a lot about this, like, or like what people get wrong about it, like anything like that.
Yeah. I think in 20 years of observing, because it is an unseen world, I think it's challenging to navigate because there can be a lot of imaginations in this, and it's your ancestors and 5D and whatever else, and I think a lot of that can put people off,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But for me, basically, I try to address it from the
Sure.
principle that my teacher instilled in me. And it's like, if we imagine we have a dirty home, we need to sweep the floor, right? If we imagine that we have a dirty window, we need to clean the window. Does it matter who put the stains on the window or the dirt on the floor? Like, I can make a million stories about all that, but there is something about energetic hygiene, right? So finding a teacher, finding someone who basically has the ability to assess, like, yes, okay, there's your kidney line is blocked, just like a Chinese medicine doctor, an acupuncturist, this sort of thing, right? Or there is something that's causing the crown to collapse. So basically, it's very difficult to feel like there's any meaning in
Mhm.
life. All these sorts of things, right? If you find someone who can basically just get down to business without all the stories, with lots of experience, there is amazing potential there for you to open up your energy. Even for, as an example, like seeing someone who's walking around with their heart center shut, like what that feels like to sit down with somebody and open their heart center for the first time in maybe 6 months, maybe a year,
Mm.
just to see this huge sigh of relief, and then tears just start to like silently roll down their face because it's been so long since they've connected with their heart energy that they forget even what it
Mm.
feels like, right? So just being able to unlock that in yourself, and then once you start to have more awareness of your energy, it becomes quite obvious
Mhm.
when you're walking around with a shut heart.
Beautiful, which is a perfect segue. We have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure we honor your time, Safa. So you have a cool free gift for our listeners, and then I want to know more about how people can work with you. But tell us first about the free gift.
So the first thing that I love to share about is a free offering on my website. It's called the Magical Manifestation Course. And what I wanted to do here was to share some of the principles of Feng Shui, basically the ones for our own personal energies that don't have anything to do with our home, but us as individuals. And for each individual, based on your birthday and your year that you're born, there are 4 directions of all the 8 directions that when we tap into them, they can really enhance our success, our relationships, our spiritual wisdom, and our health. And so in this course, you'll discover what your personal 4 best directions are, and then some tips and tricks that you can use according to Feng Shui to really let the universe know, like, this is what I want for my health. This is what I want for my relationships. This is what I want for success. And we basically set ourselves up to tell the universe, this is what it is that I'm really trying to manifest. And because we place those goals in a particular direction, orientation, it actually sends that message out to the universe much more quickly than if we just were to write it down randomly and place it somewhere. So this is for free on my website. The second thing that I'm offering is an in-person course in Tulum this October from the 18th to the 24th. This will be the 3rd training that we're doing. And what this is an in-person energy medicine training. So my idea here is to have everyone come, and we're doing a lot of one-on-one time with different individuals. So we're having a lot of practical experience to really learn how to start to turn our hands on so that we can use them to start to sense energies within ourselves, within individuals, within issues that we have in our life, we can actually use energy scanning to see what is in alignment for us, using it as a discernment tool. And so by the end of this training, after a week, you'll be able to go home, work on yourself, work on your loved ones, also be able to work on removing energy blockages from certain areas in your life. So if you'd like to check that out, you can check out my website at goldentsunami.co.
Wow. Well, first, I just want to reflect on that. Amazing. Thank you. What an amazing gift. And we will have all of that in the show notes. We'll have your link in the show notes. Safa Roberts, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your time, your energy. I feel the ripple effect all over the planet of how you show up in the world and just the gift you are and how you give to others. So thank you for being here. And thank you to our listeners all over the world. We love gathering with you every week. And I promised at the beginning of the year, I'm like, we're doing the show every single week because we want to make sure that we don't have lone wolves out there. We don't want you to feel like you're alone out there. Like business can be a tough journey on your own. And just know that our community cares about you. We think about you. We're here to support you. If there's anything we can do, you can email us at contact@ursulainc.co. And if you're feeling the pull to the Tooks Intensive, go to ursulainc.co/apply, send in a few details, and we'll get you all the information. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. Make this your most epic month yet. See you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to leave a review on iTunes so I know what you like and can create content that guides you to up-level your business even more. If you want more strategic business tips, follow me on social media. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can visit my website at www.ursulainc.co. I love being on this journey with you and can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. In the meantime, make this your most epic month yet.